Reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 28, 35, 36. Tatra Chandravasa-nama Tamraparni-vatodaka Tatpunya-salile nityam Ubhaya tatratmano brajan Kandastibir-mula-palai Pushpa-parnetanodakei Atmanaha sane-gatra Karsanam tapastita Tatra, there, Chandravasa, the Chandravasa river, Nama, name, Tamraparni, the Tamraparni river. Vatodaka, the Vatodaka river. That of those rivers, Punya, pious, Salile, with the waters, Nityam, daily, Ubayetra, in both ways, Atmanaha, of himself, Marjan, washing, Kanda, bulbs, Astibi, and by seeds, Mula, roots, Palair, and by fruits, Pushpa, the flowers, Parnei, and by leaves, Trana, grass, Udakai, and by water, Vatmanaha, subsisting, Sanair, gradually, Yatra, his body, Karsanam, rendering thin, Tapaha, austerity, Astitaha, he underwent. Translation: in the province of Kulachala, there were rivers named Chandravasa, Tamraparni, and Vatodaka. King Malaya Dwaja used to go to these pious rivers regularly and take his bath there. Thus he purified himself externally and internally. He took his bath and ate bulbs, seeds, leaves, flowers, roots, fruits, grasses, and drank water. In this way he underwent severe austerities. Eventually he became very skinny. In the province of Kulachala, there were rivers named Chandravasa, Tamraparni, and Vatodaka. King Malaya Dwaja used to go to these pious rivers regularly, take his bath there. Thus he purified himself externally and internally. He took his bath and ate bulbs, seeds, leaves, flowers, roots, fruits, grasses, and drank water. In this way, he underwent severe austerities. Eventually, he became very skinny. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We can definitely see that to advance in Krishna consciousness, one must control his bodily weight. If one becomes too fat, it is to be assumed that he is not advancing spiritually. I think we must put a scale here. Anyone above that scale, I think no Sunday feast for him. He only can drink the Charnamrita and go home. Huh? If one become too fat, it is to be assumed that he is not advancing spiritually. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur severely criticized his fat disciples. The idea is that one who intends to advance in Krishna consciousness must not eat very much. Devotees used to go to forests, hills, high hills or mountains on pilgrimage, but such severe austerities are not possible in these days. One should instead eat only prasad and no more than required. According to the Vaishnava calendar, there are many fasts such as Ekadasi and the appearance or disappearance day of God and his devotees. All of these are meant to decrease the fat within the body so that one will not sleep more than desired and will not become inactive and lazy. Overindulgence in food will cause a man to sleep more than required. This human form of life is meant for austerity, and austerity means controlling sex, food intake, etc. In this way, time can be saved for spiritual activity, and one can purify himself both externally and internally. Thus both body and mind can be cleansed. Oma jnanatimirandasya jnanam jnana shalakaya chakshurvan militam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Shri Chaitanya manobhishtam sarpitam yena bhutale Swayam rupa kadamam dadati swaparandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padagamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajiv Shadvitam Shavadutam Parijanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vedam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suta Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Navaram Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So you can see how controlling the tongue is very important for making spiritual advancement. By fasting, learned man quickly bring all the senses except the tongue under control. Because by abstaining from eating, such men are afflicted with an increased desire to gratify the sense of taste. So the idea is to reduce the eating, but not necessarily you fast. Your desire to not eat is curtailed. Actually, today is fasting, right? But during your fasting, you are thinking, oh, tomorrow what I am going to eat. Already you are making plans? Yes? Is it not? Especially if you do nirjal, Understand? Instead of chanting and Hare Krishna, you say Hare Prasadam. Hare Prasadam, Hare Prasadam. Hey, what am I saying? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Understand? It is the mind is so strong. Is it not? Correct. So it says here, So fasting can bring everything under control except the tongue. Huh? Although one may conquer all of the other senses, as long as the tongue is not conquered, it cannot be said that one has controlled his senses. However, if one able to control the tongue, then one is understood to be in full control of all the senses. That? So see how important this eating thing is. Correct? Even Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you know, right? Where he says in the Bhagavad Gita? Immediately you write eating, the whole thing comes out. Oh, okay, finish. That's why your phone only. What do you say? Eating? Okay, put search. That's it. Oh, eating. You need to study the book, nothing. The computer will do everything. Just like one man was watching my program, and then he started asking, what software is that? Huh? Because you just type one word, the whole class comes out. You understand? So you have to read to know where is what, Then your realization will be there. So especially Bhagavad Gita chapter, you must know by heart, Yes? Very simple book actually. Bhagavad Gita is basic. Yeah? Is it not? So you must know where is Krishna say about eating? Where you think it say about eating? Come on, let's test you all out. Yeah, it's searched. That's it. Put all the phone away. Let's test the memory. Right? Correct? Yes? So you see. So here Krishna says, there is no possibility of one becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. So one has to eat enough, because that is a very fine line. This enough is a very difficult thing. What is enough? Yes? Correct?
Fast stool once a day.
Huh?
Fast stool once a day. Fast stool once a day.
You must learn how to pass stool once a day. Even passing stool also is regulated. If you eat too much, you will pass stool more times. If you eat less, you won't pass stool at all. Okay? So eating is very important. Of course, if you eat too much, then it says here, always hungry, longing for sufficient food, a poverty-stricken man gradually becomes weaker and weaker, having no extra potency. His senses automatically pacified. A poverty-stricken man, therefore, is unable to perform harmful activities, envious activities. In other words, such a man automatically gains the result of austerity and penance adopted voluntarily by saintly persons. According to the opinion of experienced medical practitioners, diabetic is the result of voracious eating. That's me. And tuberculosis is the disease of undereating. So Krishna says you should not eat too much, not eat too little also. Yeah? If you eat too much, you get diabetes, and if you don't eat, you get what? Tuberculosis. See? We should neither be a diabetic nor to be a tubercular. Yavat artha prayojana. We should eat frugally and keep the body fit for advancing in Krishna consciousness, is recommended elsewhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Kameshya nendriya priti labho jivita yavataha jivasya tattva jigyasya nartho cheha karma bir. The real business of human life is to keep oneself fit for advancement in spiritual realization. Human life is not meant for making the senses unnecessarily strong so that one suffers from disease and one increases in an envious fighting spirit. In the age of Kali, our human civilization is so misled that people are unnecessarily increasing in economic development, and as a result they are opening more and more slaughterhouses, liquor shops and brothels. And this way the whole civilization has been spoiled. So you see how the eating propensity, if you eat, as Krishna says, you should not eat too much and you should not eat too little. If you eat too much, you get diabetic, and if you eat too little, you get tuberculosis. So it has to be moderate. Yeah? And got the purport you can read, which is very important. He who is regulated in habits of eating, sleeping, recreation and work can meditate all material pain by practicing the yoga system. So this yoga system means either it's bhakti yoga or any yoga. The whole idea is to control the eating, the sleeping, the mating and the defending. All material activities must be limited. Not that, okay, I prasadam, I can eat whole day. It doesn't make sense. So we have to learn how to control. Because our priority is to develop spiritually and not to overindulge. So that is the objective. So here it is very clearly says that eating, sleeping, defending and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, can be regulated only when one is practiced to accept prasadam, sanctified food. See? The only way you can regulate is first rule, only prasadam. I cannot eat anything else. There's no such thing as this whole week I'm cooking, I think one day I want a break. Let's go out and eat in the... Where's the Hare Krishna vegetarian restaurant? You don't know. Oh, that means you are not going there. Right? And people look for the what? In fact, some people from the other camp, they commented, how you Hare Krishna people survive the weekends? Where you all go and eat? Can you tell me where the place there's no onion and garlic? Yeah? Only place is here, the Sri Krishna Mandir. Yeah? It's a big thing, just to trying to get out to eat. But here Prabhupada said, can I eat anything but Krishna Prasadam? So we should learn how to control the tongue. In fact, I showed one verse, I remember, devotees cannot even accept food, in the hotels or restaurants or even in the plane. Plain food also we cannot eat, Where's that verse? I remember, I think it is my thing here. Prabhupada said we can't even accept that, You can't even eat food in the hotel. I think hotel means, for Indian, hotel means restaurant, right? They call a hotel restaurant. No? I'm sorry, they call the restaurant a hotel. The Indian's way of saying. For us it's confusing, For us hotel means this hotel here, Hotel 81 and all that stuff. Huh? Say, why you go to hotel for what? Food? I was confused. I said, what's going on? You know, Indian people eat in the hotel.
Hotel means lodging.
Yeah, lodging. Why are you lodging? I mean, I was puzzled when I first went to India. So hotel? Why you go to hotel to eat? Because then I understood hotel means for the Indians a restaurant. Even today they still use that same terminology. Why they want to change it?
Names also there.
They will put hotel, they won't put restaurant. So Prabhupada said you cannot eat food. Yeah? Even in the, what is that? Yeah. Let me, for what?
12,195.
What is this purport? Let's see.
12,195. CC.
For example, if one eats in a place which is very sinful, he shares in the resultant reaction of sinful activities performed there. It's a Vedic system, therefore, a householder to call Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to eat at ceremonial performance in their houses, because Brahmanas and Vaishnavas can immunize him from sinful activities. But it is not the duty of rigid Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to accept invitation everywhere. There is, of course, no objection to taking part in feasts in which prasad is distributed. There are many subtle laws which practically are unknown to people in general. But the Krishna conscious movement is very scientifically distributing all this Vedic knowledge for the benefit of the people of the world. Where you say you found it?
12,195.
12.195. What is that, Madhya? Sangat Sanjayate Kama. One develops his Krishna consciousness according to society and association, as Srila Nityananda Prabhu admits. A devotee should be very careful when associating with those who are not devotees. When asked by a householder devotee what the behavior of a devotee should be, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately replied, Achasangatyage Vaishnavachar, Stri Sangyeka Asadu Krishna Abhakta Ar. A Vaishnava devotee should simply discard intimate association with non-devotees. In the Upadis Samartha, Srila Rupa Goswami described the symptom of intimate relationship in this way. Dadati pratigrananti guhyamakyati prachati bunjate bhojayate chaiva sarpitam pratilakshanam. The word bunjate bhojayate indicates that one should eat with devotees. One should carefully avoid eating food offered by non-devotees. Indeed, a devotee should be very strict in not accepting food from a non-devotee, especially food prepared in restaurants or hotels. Prabhupada used that both words, restaurant or hotels. See? Or in airplanes. What to Prabhu? I have to eat in the plane, otherwise problem. See? Especially budget airlines, they don't give food at all. Have to buy even water $3. Wow, too much. Actually, I like budget airlines because I don't get any problems. Of course, I don't eat at all. And if you get somebody eating the thing, it smells so bad. So you see how Srila Prabhupada is saying, so how strict we should be, that we don't get prasadam, we should fast. That is how to control the tongue. Only prasadam. Otherwise, we're not going to eat it, you know. Where was I, you know? I think we went to the... Which verse was I reading this now? I was showing something.
5.
Huh?
Go to 5.
4? Which verse was I showing this now? I went to this one. Bhagavad Gita, no? Krishna was...
10, 16.
10, 10?
16.
Oh.
I mean, after that, yeah, you went to 6, 17.
I think I was reading, no? 6:17. So we are reading this. Prabhupada is saying that we have to learn how to accept prasadam. Lord Krishna is offered, according to Bhagavad Gita 9:26, vegetables, flowers, fruit, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness become automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption or not in the category of goodness. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Avyakta kalatvam. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in his respect is Srila Rupa Goswami, who always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes not even that. Thakur Haridas would not even accept prasadam or even sleep a moment without finishing daily routine of chanting his beats 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interests, and thus his work is always regulated and untainted by sense gratification. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness, because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all the other bodily activities. There is no material misery for him. So you see how the tongue is so vital, right? Yes? But you may say, this verse Krishna says you should not eat too much, you should eat not too little, you know, he didn't say you don't eat at all, you know, right? But here, specifically he says here, hmm. 51 to 53, right? Come, this is one. Yeah. You see the word, who eats little, see that? Can you see that? Huh? Almost miss it out. Huh? See that? Who eats little, you know. And this chapter here, Krishna is saying, being purified. Actually, this verse in the 50, O son of Kunti, learn from me how one who has achieved this perfection can attain the supreme perfectional stage, Brahman, that stage of highest knowledge, by acting in a way I shall now summarize. So if anyone wants to make spiritual advancement, then Krishna is giving this in the Bhagavad Gita, because it's also in the Bhagavatam. He said, these are the things you should do. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the object of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, that controls his body, mind and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. So we see how eating, again, Krishna, says is one of the important. Now I see a desire to make the body fat and strong by accepting so many material things. So one should learn how to control the tongue. But that doesn't mean that you fast and don't eat too much. Eat moderately. So eating has to be controlled. So these are the verses in the Bhagavad Gita that says that we should be careful. So of course, the famous verse, right, from the Nectar of Instruction. There are 6 things that will spoil your spiritual life. Yes? And what was the first thing in there? What is the first thing there? Huh? Feast. What is the number? These are the things that spoil your spiritual life, no? First word, atya ahara. Ati means, in Sanskrit, ati means what? Great. Extensive. Overwhelming, actually, that's the word. Is it not? Ati. And ahara means? So this is the first thing that one should control. See the translation. Overeating or too much collecting money also. We have to be. I don't think the collectors have to worry about that. See, these are the things. One devotional service is spoiled when you become too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary and collecting more funds than required. So eating is very, number 1. Because if you eat so much, then you will sleep also so much. Then you start dreaming. And then you will be agitated by lust. See? It all goes, as the saying, it's all in a straight line. The tongue, the stomach and the genitals are all in a straight line. The more you eat so much, you put pressure on your stomach, and that pressure will agitate the sense of lust. So that's why here again, eating it's not very recommended. So therefore, you see here in the Nectar of Instruction, eating is also explained to be not very healthy. Okay. So we will go here. Can see how saintly persons are supposed to be engaging their senses. So we'll read about how the saintly person, it's all a very austere programs, but it gives you an insight how a person should be practicing his spiritual life. Following the example of the python, one should give up material endeavors and accept for one's maintenance food that comes of his own accord, whether such food be delicious or tasteless or ample or meager. See, this is how the saintly person practice austerity. They just don't try to live for becoming, eating. If at any time food does not come, then a saintly person should fast for many days without making endeavor. He should understand by God's arrangement he must fast. Thus, following the example of the python, he should remain peaceful and patient. Do you know that the python, he does not eat every day, once in 6 months, when the food comes. Yeah? A saintly person should remain peaceful and materially inactive, maintaining his body without much endeavor. Even though possessed of full sensual, mental, physical strength, a saintly person should not become active for material gain, but should always remain alert to his actual self-interest. So the whole idea of this fasting is for this purpose, to become more Krishna conscious. A saintly sage is happy and pleasing in his external behavior, whereas internally he is most grave and thoughtful. Because his knowledge is immeasurable and unlimited, he is never disturbed, and thus in all respects he is like the tranquil waters of the unfathomable, unsurpassable ocean. So he is very much composed, he does not cry when there is no food, or jumps the line when the food comes, or in between the class he's already gone there and preparing his plate, make sure it is. During the rainy season, the swollen river rushed to the ocean, and during the dry summer, the rivers now shallow, severely reduced their supply of water. Yet the ocean does not swell up during the rainy season, nor does it dry up in the hot summer. In the same way, a saintly devotee who accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the goal of his life sometime will receive by providence great material opulence, and sometime he will find himself materially destitute. However, such a devotee of the Lord does not rejoice in a flourishing condition, nor is he remorse when poverty stricken. One who has failed to control his senses, this is another subject. All right. A saintly person should accept only enough food to keep his body and soul together. He should go from door to door accepting just a little bit of food from each family. Thus he should practice the occupation of the bumblebee, because this is for the sannyasis. Just as the bumblebee takes nectar from all flowers, big and small, an intelligent human being should take the essence from all religious scriptures. A saintly person should not think that this food I will keep to eat tonight and this other food I shall save for tomorrow. In other words, a saintly person should not store foodstuff acquired by begging. Rather, he should use his own hands as his plate and eat whatever fits in them. His only storage container should be his belly. Tupperware. What? It's upperware. It is upperware here. Okay. And whatever conveniently fits into his belly should be his stock of food. That means that's it. Cannot hide the extra samosas and everything. Especially me, when I go up, I say, what is this container up here? And then I take out, wow, some samosa here and something here. So nobody eat, and then a dish is up there. I forget. Maybe forgot to eat. Wow. Because there is greed hiding, and then eventually nobody can eat. Right? So thus one should not imitate the greedy honeybee who eagerly collects more and more honey. So you see, take enough. A saintly mendicant should not even collect foodstuff to eat later in the same day or the next day. If we disregard this injunction and like the honeybee collects more and more delicious foodstuff, that which he has collected will indeed ruin him. So you see the concept of trying to stock. Alright, this is another subject. So you see, these are all guidelines, of course, for the householder is a different whole thing together. Because the householder, his whole idea of the householder ashram is to have sense gratification. So that's why the householder's job is to give charity. That they are the ones who have, abundance, and they should always, Prabhupada said, you should first go out in the street and call anybody hungry, and 3 times and nobody, then he can eat his food. So, eating is also controlled. So therefore we should learn how to understand that the word anna in Sanskrit, A-N-N-A, anna, means that you eat, and that also will eat you, the 2 meanings. So we do not control that, then we will spiritually become eaten. That's why there's rules for eating, sleeping, mating. That's why Krishna says here, Yat karosi, yat asnasi. Is it the word? Asna means what? Eating. Yeah? See? Whatever you do, whatever you eat. So why the eating is stressed? Because the eating can agitate, overeating or eating the wrong thing, and can agitate the mind. You understand? When you eat anything and everything, untimely death is assured. Correct? So see, Krishna is very much stressing on you see here this verse. Person who are papista, very sinful and duracha, misbehave or very unclean in their habits, who are against the existence of God, who disrespect Vaishnava and Brahmana, and who eat anything and everything. Is that? What is that? Untimely death is Gelang, very popular. Crocodile meat, turtle meat, name it. Exotic, yeah? Then, so you see how eating is so important. That's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, right? What is that verse? that you must eat only Krishna Prasada? Let the woman answer this question. Come on. You are the cooks, most of you. You must know this verse. What is this verse? Tell me. Huh? What? I cannot hear.
Louder.
No enough prasadam. What? You are the most thinnest among all of them. No prasadam? What is the verse? I cannot hear. What is that number? Yeah, you must learn this verse by heart, no? Correct? Very simple. 3:13. That's all. 3:13 will be in memory for I am already what age? Yeah, this verse I think I learned when I was first coming in. Very important verse because it concerns what? See here, Krishna says, Yagyasistasino santo mucyanti sarvakil bisehe bunjate tettugaha papam e pachanti atma karanan. So remember 3:13. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sins. You understand? If you don't offer your food, that means even it's vegetarian. It is. Because vegetables also living, correct? You will go and pull the spinach, or you take the what? The potato, all these are living, correct? What about the rice? The rice is grains, no? Yes? So if you don't offer, because you don't have the power to take the sins. Understand? Killing is sinful. So the only person who can purify that is Krishna. So you can make all your nice preparation, but if you fail to offer Krishna, then it is. Oh, so I should offer food. So okay, I will go to all these restaurants, I will buy and I offer. Correct? I will say a quick prayer. Hare Krishna, and that's it. Can I do that? Why not? Krishna said you should offer. Did he say? He said offer, right? Correct? So why we cannot offer food bought in the shops and restaurants? Why? Suppose is the devotee they are cooking, then you can offer. Yeah, of course, if the devotee is cooking, that's another thing. But generally, it says here, so you must know, if people ask you this question, you must be able to answer. Even very opulent presentation do not satisfy me if they are offered by non-devotees. Is it clear? So because they ask this question, you cannot show in the Bhagavad Gita. Where? Can you show? So you must know, because when you are talking, especially food, why we cannot eat? You can offer what? You buy in the restaurant, you can offer? Yes? So you must know. You see here? Clearly it says what? Non-devotee food cannot be. But I am pleased by any insignificant offering made by my loving devotees. Then they say in the Bhagavad Gita, where is it? Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam only. You can only fruit, leaf, flower, water, that's all. Why you eating rice all where? He never say offer rice. Correct? Now what you will do? Eat only fruit, leaf, flower and water. Huh? Yes. So therefore Krishna says here, I am certainly most pleased with nice preparations of fragrant oil, incense, flowers, palatable foods are offered with love. You understand? You see here, again, they say, what is this palatable food, you know? Huh? That he says here. No, please take note, because you know these verses are quite important, concerns your preaching to others. So these questions are always, you know, this non-devotees, they always have tricky questions, you know. Yeah, see this? Okay, here, see here. Within his means, the devotee should arrange to offer me sugar candy, sweet rice, ghee, saskuli. I don't know what is this saskuli. Rice flour cakes, apupa, various sweet cakes, modaka, steamed rice. Modaka, I think you know, right? Rice flour dumpling filled with sweet coconut and sugar. Samyava, wheat cakes made with ghee and milk and covered with sugar and spices, yogurt, vegetable soup and other palatable food. So if somebody asks you where he says, you know, you can, so you see here, Krishna is asking. Understand? It's not only, they read Bhagavad Gita, you see, he said only fruit, leaf, flower, water. So you must know. Understand? You follow? So these are the things that we can offer to Krishna, but the main thing is the offering with love. So when you offer with love, that is what Krishna, you know, like he didn't go to the house of Duryodhana. Duryodhana prepared the food in golden plate and all that for Krishna, he did not go. In fact, he went to Vidura supposed to be a Shudra. You know. He went to his house and he was eating there. And actually Vidura was in ecstasy and he was feeding him the banana peel and he throwing the banana out. And Krishna was eating the peel. He couldn't. You understand? So you see how love. It doesn't mean you bring Krishna and give him peel, you know. That's not the idea. The idea is because Vidura was in ecstasy, you know, he did not know, he was, you know. But because of love, Krishna accepted that. So the whole idea is that we should learn how to offer Krishna opulent thing, but we should learn how to take little bit. You understand? We should not be in this consciousness that no, today I want to eat a big pizza, you know, right? Krishna quickly eat. So that kind of consciousness is not very encouraged, you know. So we should learn how to think of how to please Krishna and not try to please our senses. That should be the consciousness. Yes, see, Madhavendra Puri, he went to this temple. How many of you have been to this temple, Ramuna? Only 2. Nobody have gone 3. That's all. You didn't go? You didn't bring her? Come on, what are you doing? You're from Orissa. Where you brought her? Jagannath Puri beach. Huh? Ramuna is the place where if you go, the Lord takes 12 cups of sweet rice in the evening. You know, it is called what? Rabri. Huh? You know what is rabri? Milk, and the cows are also there, I saw. They don't go and get milk from the market or the cows are there, they feed the cows and the milk from that cows are cooked down. Rabri means cooked down, and then nearly to the end they put little sugar. So 12 cups are offered to the Lord, and I was diabetic, I think I'll just take a little bit. When I took the little bit, I drank 2 cups. I couldn't help it because it's so tasty, you know. So, these 12 cups are offered. When Madhavendra Puri, he was looking at that offering going on, he was thinking, how nice if I taste this, then I can prepare the same thing for my Gopinath. Is it Gopinath? What is his deity name? Govinda. Is it? The deity is holding the hand like this. What is the deity name? The eyes is like this. Srinathji. Srinathji. You know, this deity was discovered by Madhavendra Puri. So, have you seen that deity? Huh? You never seen? This deity is in what town is that? Natwara. You go, you see Lord hand like this and his hand is like this. He's holding the, you know. So, he was thinking that I want to taste this so that I can offer to my Lord. So, this is not wrong because his intention was to, but then he thought, how can I think like this, you know, when offering going on, I want to taste. See? Immediately he said, this is offensive. He left the place. He went away. He said, I am offended. So he was sitting in the marketplace. I went there also, no, the marketplace. You go next time. And his samadhi is also there, you know. So I think he stayed in that place only. He never went any other place, right? After this incident, I think. I don't know the full story, but while he was in the marketplace chanting, then the Lord, the Brahman, he closed the curtain. After offering finished, he took all out and finished. Then the Lord woke him up in the night. He woke him, hey, wake up, wake up. I have kept 1 cup of sweet rice. You go and give to Madhavendra Puri. You see how the Lord, because the Lord understood his intention, so the Lord stole 1 cup. That's why it is called what? Chirchor Gopinath. He stole this sweet rice for him. And of course then the Brahmana went and delivered the sweet rice, you know, it is Madhavendra Puri, then he drank the sweet rice and then he broke the cup, you know, into small pieces and he kept with him. Every day he eats this clay cup little bit, you know, because in ecstasy. So the idea of eating and offering is also very important, because although we may offer to the Lord, but our intention should be very clear that we are not thinking of how to taste the food and all that. That's why when we are cooking in the kitchen and all that, we do not allow others to come inside to see. Especially non-devotees are not allowed inside the kitchen. What to say? If you are bringing the food and if a dog sees, the food cannot be offered. I think they are even more strict in Jagannath Puri. If a non-devotee finished, the whole offering is thrown away. They have to cook again. See how strict they are. Because the food that is offered to the Lord, the consciousness should be very pure. That I am cooking for the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord. Not that I am cooking and I want to enjoy it. Then, so those cooks, they have to be very concerned that how, we are making this for the pleasure of Radha Madhu Mohan. You understand? So eating is one thing, but the consciousness of preparing the food for offering is also should be sublime, you know. It's not that it is like anything and everything can go. That's why we are very particular that we use the right ingredient, we read the label, because sometimes we make mistakes, but we have to be very thorough. very cautious in to prepare the food for the Lord. What is his name? The devotee that offers the food to the Lord all the time. You know what his name? Huh? Do you know the Leela, the pastime? Is Raghava Pandit. You know Raghava Pandit, the Leela? So he is always offering the best to the Lord, If the coconut he knows somewhere it's coming, very far away, but it's very sweet, he will go all the way miles to get that for offering to the Lord. And he is very, very, what we say, cautious about the cleanliness of offering. So one time the servant, he came to cut the coconut, and while the coconut cutting, he touched his hand on the shilling, like this, and then he rejected the food. And Prabhupada writes, can you take that part for me? Raghava Pandit. You can read how thorough he is, And Prabhupada writes that it is not that Raghava Pandit is some kind of a cleanliness freak. In the purport, you can read a cleanliness freak or something. You search for me, the Raghava Pandit story. So because he was cutting this and he was touching the ceiling is dirty with ashes, this food go to the food, therefore I reject all this coconut. No, cannot offer. You see how the consciousness of the devotee, they are very, very meticulous and very, concerned that the Lord gets what? Everything in proper. That's why our kitchen has to be very clean, right? Those who are cooking, right? Yes? Correct? It has to be very, make sure that it is clean. Before you go in, when you come out, you should be more clean. Yeah? Because we have a problem with so many cockroaches. I don't know how to do that. That's not so clean, then cockroaches come, right? So we should be very, careful that the Lord gets, everything in a very, hygienic, cleanliness of the highest order. So consciousness, preparing it with proper understanding that I am really cooking for the Lord. Yeah, meditating. Right? Some of them, the ladies will tie their hair, will make sure that the hair doesn't fall into the food. Yes? So very, they look into it very thoroughly. What is that? What? Madhya? Madhya? 20. 20.
No, text 76 onwards.
What number?
Text 17.
17? 4. 17 4? Huh? 69 onwards. 69, 1769.
No, 15.69.
15.
Yeah.
69. So you can see how the story goes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then informed everyone, just hear about the pure devotional service rendered to Krishna by Raghava Pandit. Indeed, Raghava Pandit's service is supremely pure and highly accomplished. Apart from comedies, just hear about his offering of coconuts. A coconut is sold at the rate of 5 gandas each. Although he already had hundreds of trees and millions of fruit, he is still very eager to hear about the place where sweet coconuts are available. He collects coconut with great endeavor for a place 20 miles away, and he pays 4 panas each for them. Every day 5 to 7 coconuts are clipped and put into water to keep cool. At the time of offering bhoga, the coconuts are again clipped and cleansed. After holes are made in them, at the top they are offered to Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna drinks this juice from this coconut, and sometimes the coconuts are left drained of juice, and other times the coconut remains filled with juice. When Raghava Pandit sees that the juice has been drunk from the coconut, he is very pleased. He then breaks the coconut, takes out the pulp and puts it in another plate. After offering the pulp, he meditates outside the temple door. In the meantime, Lord Krishna, having eaten the pulp, leaves the plate empty. That means we can, after drinking, the Lord has to drink. Then you can break the coconut and you can offer the pulp again.
But not after we have drunk, right?
No. Then you have to offer yourself.
But when we are putting, the Lord is not emptying the coconut.
No, what you have to do is after you offer, you bring out, then you break and you can take and offer again some other time, Yeah? We were thinking that if you offer the coconut, it's finished, the inside is also considered offered. Sometime after eating the pulp, Krishna fills the plate again with new pulp. In this way, the faith of Raghava Pandit increases and he floats in an ocean of love. One day it so happened that about 10 coconuts were properly clipped and brought by a servant to offer to the deity. When the coconuts were brought there with little time to offer them, because it is already late, the servant holding the container of the coconut remained standing at the door. Raghava Pandit then saw that the servant touching the ceiling above the door and then touching the coconut with the same hand. You see how he is so, Raghava Pandit then said, people are always coming and going through the door. The dust from their feet blows up and touches the ceiling. Just see his analogy. After touching the ceiling above the door, you have touched the coconut. Now they are no longer fit to be offered to Krishna because they are contaminated. See? How so thorough he is. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that Raghava Pandit was not some crazy fellow suffering from some cleansing. Cleansing mania. He did not belong to the mundane world. In lower consciousness, accepting something to be spiritual when it's actually material is called Bhauma Ijjadihi. Raghava Pandit was an eternal servant of Krishna and everything he saw was related to the service of the Lord. He was always absorbed in the transcendental thought of how he could always serve Krishna with everything. Sometimes neophyte devotees on the lower platform try to imitate Raghava Pandit on the platform of material purity and impurity. Such imitation will not help anyone. As I explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhadra Abhadra Vastu Jnana Nahika Prakarte. On the transcendental platform, there is no higher, lower, pure, impure. On the material platform, distinction is made between good and bad. But on the spiritual platform, everything of the same quality. Dvaite Bhadra Abhadra Jnana Saba Mano Dharma. E Bhala E Manda E Saba Brahma. The material world, conception of good and bad, all mental speculation. Therefore, saying this is good, that is bad is all a mistake. Such is the service of Raghava Pandit. He did not accept the coconut but threw them over the wall. His service is purely based on unalloyed love and he conquers the whole world. Thereafter, Raghava Pandit had other coconuts gathered, cleansed and clipped. With great attention, he offered them to the deity to eat. In this way, from distant villages, he would collect excellent bananas, mangoes, oranges, jackfruit, whatever other first-class fruit he has heard about. All these fruits are collected from distant places and brought at high price. After trimming them with great care and purity, Raghava Pandit offers them to the deity. Thus, with great care and attention, Raghava Pandit prepares spinach, other vegetables, radish, fruits, cheap rice, powdered rice and sweetmeats. So, the story goes on. He prepares cakes, sweet rice, condensed milk, everything with great attention, and the cooking conditions are purified so that the food is first class and delicious. Raghava Pandit also offers all kinds of pickles such as kasmadi. I don't know what is that. This is a Bengali. Kasmandi, what? They offer various sweets, sands, garments, ornaments, and best of everything. So anyway, the story, you can go and read this chapter. There's many things, especially the sister Damayanti makes a all the sweets, so many sweets. It's called Raghavera Jali, the back of Raghavera. So you can read all the preparation there, and if you can make them, they'll be nice. But I don't think this is possible. Kali Yuga is only come down to only making pasta, pizza, lasagna. Noodle, right? There's no more all these names you go. Anyway, we will run through. You see what is this. So you can get some idea what Is it there in this chapter, Raghavera Gali? Is it in this chapter? Can you quickly help me take the check? This Damayanti, the sister, she produced, so we can get a glimpse of what kind of preparations have been prepared. I don't have to check the 150 is already about initiation already, This is not the chapter. I think somewhere I will show you all the preparation that is made by Raghavera Jali. You can type there. Madhya Antya 34. Okay, here, just before that.
From 19 onwards.
I would not mention the names of all these wonderful eatables even in a lifetime. Damayanti made hundreds and thousands of varieties. Damayanti made all this preparation following the order of her brother Raghava Pandit. Both of them had unlimited affection for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and were advanced in devotional service. Damayanti took earth from the Ganges, dried it, powdered it, strained it through a fine cloth, mixed it in aromatic ingredient, rolled it into small balls. He also did, no? The condiments and similar items were put into tiny earthen pots, and everything else was put into small cloth bags. I just go to the thing that we cooked there. What?
19th verse.
What?
10.19.
10.19. So here, see, 18 or something.
Even before. Actually, sorry, even before. Yeah, 13 onwards, sorry.
13, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, here you see there were names of some of the pickles and condiments at the back of Raghava Pandit. Amara Kashandi, Ada Kashandi. Ada means I think ginger, right? Huh? Correct? And Jala Kashandi, I don't know what is Jala. Nimbu, Ada, Amra Koli, I don't know what is that one. I know Nimbu, I know lemon, Ada is ginger, ginger, lemon, Amra means what? What is that?
Gooseberry.
Amra is what?
Gooseberry.
What? Amra is what? Gooseberry. That is Amla, This is Amra. Amsi, I don't know what is that. Ama Khanda, Ama means mango, right? Khanda. Taila, Tailamra, I don't know what is that. Ama Sata. With great attention, Damayanti also made dry bitter vegetables into powder. Do not neglect sukuta, because it is bitter preparation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derived more happiness from eating this sukuta than from drinking panchamrita. Okay? See? I don't know what is the sukuta, you know? Hey, Bangla. Actually here she just made this, I don't know, these verses.
No, it goes on.
Is it? She powdered coriander and anise seed and cooked them with sugar and made them into sweet meat in the shape of small balls. I don't know how you know how to do that. Coriander and anise seed. Huh? She made sweet balls with dried ginger to remove mucus, because by too much bile she put all these preparations separately in small cloth bags. She made 100 varieties of condiments and pickles. She also made koli, what is it? Koli suntiya, koli churna, koli khanda, and many other preparations. How many should I name? She made sweet meat in the shape of balls. Some were made with powdered coconut, others looked like white as water of the Ganges. In this way she made many varieties of long-lasting sugar confections. She made long-lasting cheese, many varieties of sweet meat with milk and cream, and many other variety preparations, and amrita karpura. She made flat rice from fine unboiled sali paddy and filled a large bag made of new cloth. She made some of the flat rice into puff rice, fried it in ghee, cooked it in sugar juice, mixed in some camphor and rolled it into balls. She powdered fried grains of fine rice, moistened the powder with ghee and cooked it in a solution of sugar. Then she added camphor, black pepper, cloves, cardamom and other spices and rolled the mixture into balls that were very palatable and aromatic. She took parched rice from fine paddy, fried it in ghee, cooked it in sugar solution, mixed in some camphor and taste made a preparation called ukda or mukdi. Yeah, you know this one? Finished. The culture is finished. What? I think it's the Bhaktivinoda Thakur song also has this word, no? Mukta dahi. Yeah? Huh? Another variety of sweet was made with fused peas that were powdered, fried in ghee and then cooked in sugar juice. Camphor was added and then the mixture was rolled into balls. I cannot mention the names of all. How I could not mention the names of all these wonderful eaters. In a lifetime, Damayanti made hundreds and thousands of varieties. Today is Ekadashi, we are supposed to go to God. Our whole idea of the class is to control the eating, but we went to another subject. Just see. So the whole idea is to cook all this for the pleasure of the Lord. She made it for the pleasure of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You know, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had that whole year eating every night. So our whole idea is to always be innovative, to see how we can, make nice preparation for the pleasure of the Lord. That's the whole idea. And of course for ourselves we should only take, little bit. That way we can control our senses. But if we are trying to cook only to enjoy that, and just for the sake of getting it purified we offer the Lord, then the food becomes contaminated. Understand? So we should be very careful in our approach. We should try to think of how to please, like she made so much effort to please the Lord, In fact, there's another story also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I can go on. that when Sachi Mata, she will cook very nice preparations, and then she will be crying because Nimai is not there. He is in Jagannath Puri, and she will be thinking that when will Nimai come and eat all this preparation? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, hearing his mother's crying, he will come there and he will eat, and everything will be empty, and she will come and see, plates are empty. Did I offer? I not offer. She will go back and cook some more and offer again. So this pastime was going on, because the mother is crying, so he will go there and eat the food. And then he will tell, one devotee going back, he said, you please tell her that when she cooks anything very nice, I will come there and eat the food. So don't tell her not to be surprised. Because sometimes she's thinking she didn't offer. You see how the...
He thinks she did not cook.
And she forgot to cook. You see how the ecstasy. So she is cooking and nobody in this house knows who is there, only me. You see how her mood, you understand? But she makes the big feast. And who is there in the house? Only she and a daughter-in-law. Nobody else. Maybe, I think one more. I don't know the person. You understand? But because she's thinking, I want to cook for my, Nimai. And she cooks so opulent everything. And the Lord, you see how He goes there and eats. So that is devotion, you understand? Devotional service means somehow or other to do it for the pleasure of the Lord. That's how we will move to be meditating. Then we will be, very much, inspired in our service. But we are always thinking, nobody eating here, Prabhu, just 2% enough, we are wasting food, no. Then, consciousness. So we should change that and think for how to please the Lord. Of course, you don't go and cook the whole kitchen up and have tons of food around, and that's another problem. You have to be a little bit more intelligent. How to do it nicely. All right, it's 10 o'clock. Anyway, we have spoken at length about food. I think I covered many subjects. Any questions or comments on this point?
Chaitanya Leela, right? They're putting so much prasadam. The Lord also says don't enjoy the prasadam. Then what happens to the
So we have to ask you to come and distribute to the workers.
No, not like the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They devotees are cooking so much opulent food.
There's the verse there that first they will eat, and after that they will feed it to all the workers, the animals. All. In India there is no shortage, there's so many cows, so many dogs, so many things. But here only that's a problem. There's no cows, no dogs, no nothing. How to feed people?
They're not enjoying it. They control their senses when they're so much.
Oh yeah, it says in the Leela that he will ask them to distribute to all those, the workers, the Sudras, so many people.
He used to also serve the devotees and then not stop serving them.
Oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is noted to put in a plate equivalent to a 5 man's food,
He also used to serve the devotees also so much food.
Yeah, he is not accustomed to give little. He'll give 5 man's food in one plate. He is big size. How much, and then not that he eat and then he sleep. He dance. How much energy is going? We eat and we sleep. Dancing, we stand on the corner. What exercise we got? Huh? Is it? You have to dance. Then you eat. You can eat. Substantiate. But you eat and then you don't do any work, then what will happen? There are problems. Understand? So eating must be substantiated by jumping, dancing. You got to expand yourself. Otherwise you're going to have problems, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, you can read when Advaita Acharya called to the house, he put the rice and the ghee on the rice and the ghee is overflowing, I mean, what ghee? All oil. Understand? It's fragrant, that's how they eat, so much. And every preparation, so many preparations that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and his wife, he says that even 100 men cooking with 100 fire cannot finish this cooking in a short time. That much preparation of food in few hours for the pleasure of the Lord. So prasadam is the main thing, but it should not be our consciousness to enjoy that unlimitedly. Then you will have a problem. Because you overeat, you're going to have problems. Undereating is the essence of spiritual advancement. To always limit, then yes, the tongue can be, of course you cannot control the tongue by fasting, but then you can at least limit, So we have to be very careful about this. Not that prasadam, everything is there and I should enjoy. Oh, I'm going to the Hare Krishna today. Wow, I've been fasting all week, Yeah? So we should be very careful with that. Yeah? Anything else?
Prabhupada attracted people by prasadam also, right?
Yeah. Of course, when we were young, we were eating like anything. There was a gulab jamun competition. Gulab jamun competition. One guy, 100 gulab jamuns. I mean, when you are young, that's possible. Now, wow, one gulab jamun, you will fall flat. You understand? It's soaking in sugar. Understand? It is young, like this little boy, girl out playing it, they can take as much, And children all can. It's of your bodies. But when you grow old, you forget it. It's difficult. But that does not mean that we don't offer the Lord, Prabhupada actually attracted the whole movement. Basically, it is the alava, That alava, wow. And then he taught us how to make the Simply Wonderful. The Simply Wonderful? These things were, it took the whole world by storm, Remember the alava? Sunday feast, no alava. Wow. Alava, in America, we cook everything in ghee. They don't use oil at all. No oil at all. And puri cooked in ghee, you can eat so many puris, because the taste of the puri actually there's two words, One is called cooked food and one is called uncooked food, I think the word is there, Cooked food means everything that is cooked in ghee. That is called cooked food. Uncooked food means not cooked in ghee. Understand? So we can only offer food cooked in ghee to the Lord. In fact, the demigods will not eat, even the demigods will not eat anything cooked in oil. You know that? Demigods will not eat anything in oil. They will not. What about Krishna? He is lower. So we should cook everything in ghee for the Lord. So please make some donation for ghee for our temple.
He also not fake one.
Well, at least in ghee, at least you cook ghee something. Because I've seen in this part of the world, they don't like the smell of ghee. Ghee smell, they don't like it. Especially when you cook noodle in ghee, nobody will eat. A noodle how to cook in ghee? Doesn't make sense. Understand? But ghee, when you take, your doses in the body get organized. Because when you eat, your doses all go off. But when you take ghee, the thing is balanced. The power of ghee. But now, finished. Nobody eats ghee anymore. Ghee is. But in America, everything is cooked only in ghee. I've cooked in America, I know. Nothing in oil, no oil. And that's how taste of the food, everything is so, special. Of course, it's cheaper there. You buy butter, we boil it down, clarified butter, we cook in that, frying in ghee, everything in ghee. Maybe we can start here also, cooking all the preps, in ghee. Maybe when frying, I don't know, something we have to think about.
One Nimai Pandit who asked, can I eat outside fast food after mentally offering it to Krishna? Then Subramaniam said, Prabhu made a statement at the beginning of the lecture. The chances this question, kindly watch this lecture again from the beginning.
Yeah, they come in between and ask the same question, I have to go back and I said very clearly, food cooked by non-devotees cannot be, but he still insists that he wants to eat the fast food. Then what to do? Eh?
The other two verses are there.
Huh?
You used to show the two verses in Antilila 6.278. What is that? Shayar Anna Khaila, Malim Khaila.
That is 78. Who wants that verse?
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I remember that verse. Food, that is, we'll go to that, finish this. So you can, this is not the verse. What is number? 27?
Sorry, Antilila. Same number, but Antilila.
So you can see here, when one eats food offered by a materialistic man, one's mind becomes contaminated. And when the mind is contaminated, one is unable to think of Krishna properly. You understand? So that's why we don't eat food cooked by non-devotees. Okay? Very important. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur suggests that people who are materialistically inclined and sahajas or so-called Vaishnavas who take everything very casually are both Vishayis or materialists. Eating food offered by them causes contamination, and the result of such contamination, even a serious devotee becomes like a materialistic man. See that? There are 6 kinds of association: giving charity, accepting food, offering food, talking confidentially, inquiring confidentially. One should be very careful. One should very carefully avoid associating with both the sahajas, or who are sometimes known as Vaishnavas, and the non-Vaishnavas or Avaishnavas. Their association changes the transcendental devotional service of the Lord Krishna into sense gratification, and when sense gratification enters the mind of a devotee, he is contaminated. The materialistic person who aspires after sense gratification cannot properly think of Krishna. When one accepts an invitation from a person contaminated by the material mode of passion, the person who offers the food and the person who accepts it are both mentally contaminated. So that's why we are very careful that we don't eat food which is what? Not from a, even if a devotee who is materialistically inclined, we will be careful. Okay? So it is explained here. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that there are 3 varieties of invitation: those in the mode of goodness, those in the passion, and those ignorant. An invitation accepted from a pure devotee is in the mode of goodness. An invitation accepted from a person who is pious but materially attached is in the mode of passion. An invitation accepted from a person who is materially very sinful is in the mode of ignorance. See, we should be careful where we go and what we eat and all that. So these are all precautions and guidelines in how to be spiritually strong.
One last verse is there, 6.227. 6.227.
What Madhya? One who is subservient to the tongue and who thus goes here and there, devoted to the genital belly, cannot attain Krishna. This is the same point that we have covered now. So we have to be very careful, because how we can fall down is our tongue. When the tongue we eat nonsense, then the mind gets displaced. When the mind gets contaminated, then we are finished, you know. But it is very subtle, you know, how things work is very subtle. That's why we should be very careful, knowing that the food we eat, you know, when our experience, when we go to people's houses and eat, and that day we come back, we will have some wild dreams, you know. I have experienced it so many times. They all invite me with loving heart. I go and I eat. I come back with some terrible dreams. So I can understand this reaction from, you know. So you see, you also can see, you can eat, you feel something, crazy thing, you know, wild dreams. That means, you know, the place is, something is wrong, you know. You should be careful, especially those who are eating food anywhere, everywhere. Of course, that has to be stopped. Or sometimes you are eating food cooked by non-authorized persons. So many things are there. Mind is really like a yo-yo. So the mind, the whole program is mind control. Our whole idea of controlling the eating is to control the mind. This is explained here, you know. Is it 6:12? Is it in this verse? No, I think made a mistake. It is in 3:12. Yeah, huh? 3:11. Yeah, okay. So you see here in this verse, I'm sure you can understand this, is not very difficult saying. Ahara suddhav. When the ahara is pure, then sattva suddhi, then you come to the mode of goodness. Sattva suddhav, when you are in the mode of pure goodness, durva smriti, you get your smriti means what? Intelligence. Smriti lambe, when you gain that intelligence, sarva grantinam means what? Sarva means all, granta means what? All the scriptures, correct? Vipramoksha, then you get liberated. Okay? So, but it all starts with the, understand, by eating sanctified food, intelligence develops. Come to goodness, the intelligence develops. Intelligence develops, you can understand the scriptures. Understanding the scripture, you can become liberated. Actually, our whole classification is based on what you eat. If you eat prasadam, you are considered what? Topmost. But if you eat dogs, then you consider what? Lowest class. So the classification is based on your eating. So if you eat prasadam, topmost. If you eat dogs, then you are the worst class. It is called chandala.
You are what?
Eh?
You are what?
Yes. So now they are eating these dogs. And they are first class in Kali Yuga. See that? Understand? See how the whole thing has become messed up. Culture. So we should be careful what we eat. According to our, now if somebody eat nonsense, you will not bring him to your house, correct? Yes? It's considered as untouchable because he is contaminated. You understand? That's why many times in our books, scripture, the dog eater, if he chants, he is considered. That means even you are so low, but if you chant, immediately you are top class. See? So the lowest thing is to eat dog. And the highest thing is to eat. But only if you eat prasadam, only then your brains can get purified. If you don't take prasadam, you cannot. CANNOT, cannot. Then you may ask the question, why all these countries they all don't eat prasadam, but they also have a lot of intelligence? Yes? All this equipment are made by people who are eating not prasadam. Yes? The argument? Why you all this thing all are you using and all? I don't think it is made by devotees. Yes? So the answer to that is that there are two kinds of intelligence. One is material intelligence, another one is spiritual intelligence. So when here you mention Sattva Suddhi, Durva Smriti, Smriti Lambe, this is referring to understanding spiritual intelligence. That's why it said Sarva Grantinam. You don't use material intelligence to study the books, no? You cannot do that. You understand? So when you follow this program of taking Krishna Prasadam, Krishna gives you that spiritual intelligence. That is why he said in the Bhagavad Gita, I give the intelligence in which you can come to me. Right? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajantam pratipurvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yanamam upayantite. So that spiritual intelligence is what really required. They are not interested in material intelligence. Material intelligence, oh, I have to go for another class now, 5 minutes. Hare Krishna. You see the point? So we have to make distinction. What is material, what is spiritual. And if you eat fish, oh, you can get material intelligence to the max. Fish eating gives you material intelligence. Whereas taking prasadam gives you. That's why you can see that countries around this area, all fish eating countries, preaching is so difficult. Because they are materially highly intelligent, but they cannot understand spiritual life. That's not possible. You understand this point? So therefore, we are promoting to take Krishna Prasad. This is the difference. The whole movement is started by giving only Prasad. Right, I was saying, it is called our Sunday, what? Bhagavad Gita class. You advertise like that? Nobody will come. Understand? What we say? Sunday what? Love, feast. What feast? Right, that was how Prabhupada started. Simply feed, then the purification will come. Then yes, you understand? So that should be our motto, our methodology of trying to attract the conditions. So this is the idea, eating only Krishna Prasad. Alright, anything else? Anybody else? No? Have to go now. Alright, thank you very much. Krantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.